research paper about Dear Miss Sally Ride. I am going to be, we're going to continue this, okay? So we thought of a bunch of questions that we want to know and cover in our research paper yesterday, okay? So today we're going to work on finding out some of that information. So here's what I'm going to do. I know I've got a lot of questions that we thought of. Yesterday I started to answer a couple of them. Born May 26, 1951, and it said Encino, Los Angeles, California. Her full name was Sally Kristen Ride. Okay, I've got a bunch of other questions we thought of. I could, one at a time, go to Google and ask these questions. I feel like that's what you guys tend to do. You're like, when did Sally Ride die? I don't even have to hit enter and I've got my answer. But is that something like a reliable source that I can cite?
No. Yeah.
No.
You don't know what it is yet. You don't know.
I don't even know where that information came from. Billy Bob, somebody might have wrote that on there. Yeah, Jim Bob. I don't know.
One of her ancestors. Oh.
So, but I don't know. It might have been her child that wrote this, but I don't know. Okay, so since I don't know, I can't use that. Okay. When you're doing a research paper, you need to be prepared that for as much writing as you're going to be doing, you're also going to be doing some reading to learn the information yourself. So what I'm going to do instead of searching for each individual question, why did Sally Ride become an astronaut? I could ask each little question, right? I could. And it will give me some sort of answer up here at the top that may or may not be from a reliable website.
That's a reliable one.
This says NASA.gov.
Yeah, that's a trusted
Okay,
site.
that might probably be reliable, but my paper is going to be all over the place. So it'll save me some time if I just do this instead. I'm going to say Sally Ride.
Interest.
Biography. What is a biography?
Their life.
About their life.
A story about their life. Who
Written
writes a biography?
You.
Who's you? The person that it's about or somebody else?
Someone else.
No.
An autobiography is the person.
Autobiography. Here, let's go to Josie. Which one is which? A biography. Who's it written by?
It's written by someone else, and then an autobiography you write by yourself.
Yes, an autobiography is a story you write about yourself. So if I wrote a story called The Life of Amber Babb, that would be an autobiography. But if I wrote a story called The Life of Sam Curley, that would be a biography. I'm not Sam Curley. I'm writing it about Sam Curley. I'm writing it about someone else. So when I'm looking for, Sally Ride biography, I'm looking for articles that are about Sally Ride, but written by somebody else. Okay? So looking at this very first thing that comes up, it says www.biography.com astronaut Sally Ride. Is this a trusted website that we could probably use?
Maybe.
Yes. I believe this to be a reliable website. Maggie, what are your thoughts?
I use biography.com for my Abraham Lincoln thing.
Okay. Yes, I absolutely approve biography.com as a website that you could and should use if you are doing research on a person. So I'm going to click on that. Now, wait a minute. Let me back up, actually. Could I have just found out some of my information right here underneath here?
Yes.
Education. That was one of our questions. Somebody wanted to know, where did she go to school? Stanford University. We already know her date of birth, but now I have her date of death. And why did she die?
Cancer.
Cancer, pancreatic cancer to be specific. So I have some more answers to questions, but could I possibly get even more if I actually click on this and read it? So let's do that.
Wouldn't we want an autobiography? Yeah.
An autobiography would be written by Sally Ride herself. Not every person writes an autobiography. The problem with an autobiography is it's going to be an actual book. And so, if it is an actual book, do we have time, in the purposes of writing this paper in the next 2 days, to read an actual book about the life of Sally Ride?
No.
No. So I'm going to look for some brief articles online. Sally Ride probably didn't write a short little article about herself. So I'm not looking for autobiographies. I'm going to look for biography. Does that make sense why I'm doing that?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just kind of skim this article and see. In 1983, astronaut and astrophysicist. So those were some jobs that she had. Not only an astronaut. Hold on. I'm an astrophysicist. So that's a type of scientist, like a space scientist. Sally Ride became the first American woman in space aboard the Space Shuttle Challenger. So I know now, when was the first time she went in space? I just read it. When was the first time? I know I need to maybe see if I can enlarge this somehow.
1983.
1983. I know that that's really small for you guys. I don't know how to enlarge the screen.
Let's say you're my mom. Yeah.
Just zoom in.
It's fine.
Oh, just zoom in. How do you zoom in?
You're my mom and dad were born.
Let's say your
Okay.
mom born.
So let me go. I'm going to go back over here. When she actually went on her first mission, 1983, Space Shuttle. What did it say it was? Challenger. I'm going to capitalize Challenger. Why?
Because it's a name. It's a name.
Name of a specific space shuttle. Okay. All right. Stop. What kinds of missions did she go to the moon? We don't know that yet.
No.
We don't know. Okay, what was her childhood like? What did she do? Astronaut. So far, we know she was an astronaut and astrophysicist. I saw briefly where she.
That's someone who wants like science and space, probably.
School and education.
Okay.
Miss
All right, let's go back to our article.
Miss Beth, Stanford University, remember?
Okay, who was Sally Ride? Dr. Sally Ride studied at Stanford University
Knew it.
before beating out 1,000 other applicants for a spot in NASA's astronaut program. After rigorous training, Ride joined the Challenger shuttle mission on June 18th, 1983, and became the first American woman in space. So she must have been pretty smart. She beat out over 1,000 other people that applied for that exact same position with NASA. I'm going to flip back over here, though, because I do know what school education she went to. Stanford University. And you know what I'm going to do in parentheses? Put biography.com. Why am I doing that?
To show what it was from.
So I'm citing my source. I'm writing where it was from. Am I copying and pasting entire sentences from this article?
No, but he asked us questions.
No, why am I not copying? Why don't I come over here and just copy and paste this sentence right here? Dr. Sally Ride studied at Stanford before beating out 1,000. Why don't I just copy and paste that? Fiona, why am I not just going to copy and paste that?
I don't know the exact word.
Plagiarism.
Plagiarism.
And that's plagiarism, so you cannot do that. Or
It's against the law.
It's against the school law, and it is, you can't quite get arrested for it, but it's definitely against school law, and not just Telegraph Intermediate. Danby High School, it's schools everywhere. It's colleges, it's universities. You do not copy somebody else's work.
Yeah.
You have to put it in your own words. So the things that I'm putting on my notes are just the fact. I'm not putting the other person's words. I'm putting just the fact.
What about the?
And then I can word it myself later. Does that make sense? Okay.
Why is that blue?
Why is that blue? I don't really know. I changed it
you said
yesterday.
you're going to make the
Okay.
answer is blue.
Early life and education. We already have her birth date. Born on May 26, 1951. She grew up in Los Angeles and went to Stanford University, where she was a double major in physics and English.
We don't need that.
She received bachelor's degrees in both subjects in 1973. I
That's
am
the
going to
word.
put that she had her bachelor's. It says she continued to study physics, earning a master's degree in 1975 and a PhD, which is her doctorate degree, in 1978. So she was actually technically Dr. Sally Ride. Not like a doctor that makes you better when you're sick.
That's why it says Dr. Sally Ride.
That's what
On
scientists
who
are.
was Sally Ride.
Oh, Dr. Sally Ride. Yeah, I guess I didn't pay attention to that really.
Mr.
So I do want to include some of that extra stuff. She has, so where it says Stanford University, I'm also going to put had bachelor's and master's degree, bachelor's, master's, and doctorate degrees in both English, what else did it say? Physics and, okay, physics, English and physics. Okay, English and physics. Okay, had bachelor's, master's, and doctorate degrees in English and physics. That's some pretty smart stuff. Physics is a type of science. Okay. All right, let's go back to the thing. She was smart. And somebody said she was a doctor. Yes, but again, not a doctor like that helps you when you're sick. A scientist doctor. Yes. Okay. All right, NASA, that same year that she graduated. Jason Morris, stop talking in the middle of class, okay? That same year, so we're talking about the last year that it mentioned. It stopped saying she earned her PhD in 1978. Then the very next sentence says that same year. So we're still talking about 1978. That same year, Ride beat out 1,000 other applicants for a spot in the National Aeronautics and Space Administration's astronaut program. Well, there you go. That's what NASA stands for. That's why NASA's in parentheses, National Aeronautics and Space Administration. Did you know?
No.
Okay, so 1978 was when she first got the job at NASA. I'm going to put this up here. 1978, first job at NASA. Okay, so it's going to be a few years from the time she starts at NASA to the time she actually goes on her first mission. Okay. She went through the program's rigorous training program and got her chance to go into space and the record books in 1983. On June 18th, she was the first American woman in space aboard the Challenger. As a mission specialist, she helped deploy satellites and worked other projects.
Where was she born again?
She returned to Earth on June 24th. So she was in space for how many days? 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. 1 week.
Short.
7 days. So she was in space for 7 days. And while in space, she was helping deploy satellites and other projects on the space shuttle. Did she go to the moon?
No.
Not on this trip anyways.
She went to space.
Okay. She was in space for a week. I'm going to go back to that first one. First mission, Space Shuttle Challenger. I'm going to put June. June 1983, Space Shuttle Challenger in space for, again, am I just copying and pasting? No. In space for 1 week, Space Shuttle Challenger in space for 1 week. Helped deploy satellites. Okay. That's what I'm going to put about her. That's what I decided. I was putting my answers in blue so it would be easier to see.
Yeah, that's what I was telling you.
Okay. All right, let's go back to our document here. What else can we learn here? Next year, after she returned, so it was 1983, now it's 1984. Ride again served as a mission specialist on a space shuttle flight in October. She was scheduled to take a third trip, but it was canceled after the tragic Challenger accident in '86. It doesn't talk about that in this article.
Sally Ride, the first American woman in space, was born on May 26,
Oh, I watched this.
There is a video about her. We're going to pause that for now. So there was a tragic accident where one of the space shuttles.
Family, everyone does
Are
their
you for
own
real?
thing. I think I'll be a little different.
Honestly,
You be quiet too. All right. There was a tragic accident where there was a space shuttle that exploded on takeoff, and it killed a lot of astronauts, all the astronauts and people that were on board. That was a sad, sad day for NASA and our space shuttle
Was
history.
Sally on there?
Sally was not on that one.
Where's
But-
like their people too?
Listen.
Died too.
Well, listen. After the tragic accident, she did not go on any more missions. After it, she served on the presidential commission that investigated the explosion. So she helped investigate to find out why did it explode,
So she
to
wasn't
fix it so
voting
that
the
it doesn't
president.
happen again. Josie, yes, ma'am.
She's like, I'm through with national class.
Never mind.
I'm through with NASA.
All right, never mind. Okay, back to it. Later years after NASA, because we did ask what did she do after NASA. That was one of our questions we had. Ride became the director of the California Space Institute at the University of California, San Diego, as well as the professor of physics in 1989. In 2001, she started her own company to create educational programs and products known as Sally Ride Science to help inspire girls and young women to pursue their interests in science and math. She served as the president and CEO of this company.
You
Okay,
watched the video?
so again, should I just copy and paste? That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. No.
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 Can I do this? In 2001, watch this. Watch what I'm going to do. What did she do after?
Wow.
What inspired her was childlike. What did she do?
What are we doing?
What did she do after being an astronaut? Did she have any other jobs? Here we go. I just copy and pasted something.
Plagiarism.
It's not plagiarism if I do what?
Don't change it.
I can copy one sentence
Yeah.
out of my entire paper.
Wait, can we have that? Whole paper.
One sentence in your entire paper. But,
You did more than one sentence.
well, one little fact. But here's what I have to do. I have to immediately say,
What?
according to
What this time's up for?
biography.com.
I'm gonna copy it.
You can't just
Okay.
make your whole article that and then.
Could I copy the whole article and say according to biography.com?
No, that's
No.
so
Yeah.
No. Could I copy one little fact?
No.
Yes.
Do I have to?
No.
Yeah.
No. Okay. So, okay. She was a physics professor.
Stop talking, you two.
What else? She was a physics professor, the director of the California Space Institute. Why am I capitalizing Space Institute? California Space Institute.
It's a certain space institute.
Somebody did something on it.
And created a company called Sally Ride. What was it?
Science.
Sally Ride Science.
Sign it.
For girls
Wow.
that need to be inspired.
For girls
And women.
to be inspired by science and math. That is not exactly what it said, but at least that gets it close.
Wait,
Close.
we're not allowed to copy and paste.
Okay then.
No.
Changed it.
All right. What age was she when she became an astronaut and joined NASA? Could we figure that out?
I'm guessing she was.
Stop talking. Whoa. Could we figure out what age she was when she joined NASA?
Yes.
How would we figure that out?
Go to another website. That was a comment.
Or we could just,
Chris, now that was a comment.
12:50.
Kendall's raising her hand.
Do what? We need to do some math. We know what we need to know. She was born in 1951. Her first job at NASA was in 78. So I need to take 1978 minus 1951.
Yeah.
And that tells me how old she would have been, which would be 27 years old. What age when she joined NASA? 27.
Oh.
Okay.
Also, Kendall was the one raising her hand.
Who raised their hand?
Kendall.
Kendall, you raised your hand, baby. I'm sorry.
The white thing at the bottom is blocking it.
Yeah. Kindley? Anything? Bueller? No? Okay.
Sally Ride was also a children's author too.
All right. You guys are in a different article because this one doesn't say nothing about that yet. Okay. We will be checking multiple sources. Okay. So in this one, I want to continue this one and then we will go back and
Can we see her contact information?
for her contributions to the field of science and space exploration, Ride received many honors, including the NASA space. I'm sorry, virtual friends who can't see my face. Okay. Giving somebody the evil eye. For her contributions to the field of science and space exploration, Ride received many honors, including the NASA Space Flight Medal and the NCAA's Theodore Roosevelt Award. She was also inducted into the National Women's Hall of Fame and the Astronaut Hall of Fame. I know all of that was a question we asked, honors and awards. I think Josie'd asked that one. So let's flip over here. NASA Space Flight Medal, honors and awards. Here we go. NASA Space Flight Medal. It said the NCAA, Theodore Roosevelt Award, and some other things.
That's weird.
You need to put it in
National Women's Hall of Fame
What about the blue?
and Astronaut Hall of Fame. Okay. All right. Make it blue. Oh, here's some more. Need to make it blue.
I think NCAA is just college.
Wait, what about being a doctor? What did you do?
She wasn't a doctor.
Yeah, she was
What was her name?
That's just a title. That's just, Jason, we already talked about that if you were listening, baby. Like I mentioned it several times, actually.
We actually.
Yeah.
Somebody else will catch you up later. Okay, let's see here. On July 23rd, 2012, Ride died at the age of 61 following a 17-month battle with pancreatic cancer. She will always be remembered as a pioneering astronaut who went where no other American woman had gone before. Well, I like that sentence. Okay,
Well, until
July 23rd. I never wrote this down, so we've got to go back up here. July 23rd, what was it, 1983?
Yeah, instead of
That's year my mom was born.
Pancreatic cancer. All right.
Can we watch that video?
Wait,
right
what?
now?
No,
She died in 2012. I thought,
it's cancer in your.
yeah, I thought she.
She died and they went to space.
2012. Where did I get 83? I just killed her off way too early.
That's when she went to space. Yeah, that's when she went to space.
All right. I lost my mind. Okay.
To her 1 year old.
Okay. Interest. What inspired her? Is she the first one on the moon? Did she go to the moon? No, she did not. I'm going to delete the questions. Did she go to the moon? Anything that was about the moon, because we know now that she did not actually go to the moon.
Well, you just
Okay.
right now.
I'm just going to delete it. I don't need to even know.
We never looked up if she was a secret spy on.
We did not look up each individual question. You are right. But looking through here, I've got
A lot.
A lot of them answered.
a lot of them answered. So going through this one article, taking the time to read this one short article, I got, I don't know, about a third or a half of my questions answered.
About a third, I think.
So now I can go find, the other thing I need to do is go, and I forgot to put biography.com. But here's the deal. If I'm not, I'm going to put my sources down here.
Wait, this bad.
Biography.com.
Wait, why don't you write blue equals biography.com?
Oh, that's a good idea. Biography.com is all the blue ones, and we can put answers from a different one from a different color. I like that idea.
But you might want to go change the top one to a light blue because
It's fine, because I'll just use a whole different color. All right. Yes, Maggie.
Didn't you say yesterday that you were gonna split the questions up for everybody to do?
I did, but I decided that might be hard because then I would have to share the document with everybody.
Oh.
And we'll probably run out of time before, because I wanted to show you guys how to go through an article in detail, because what I see you guys doing is this. Sally Ride pets. And then you're like, was taken by surprise. And then you've got this one thing that says Citizen Canine tracks the social status of dogs and cats. And so then you're going to write that sentence that doesn't make any sense. I have literally seen some of you, and you'll just quote this in your paper. Is that a full sentence?
No.
Does it have anything to do with the Sally Ride have pets?
No.
Those little dots that are before it and after it, that's only part of a sentence that's from a paragraph in that article.
Go to the site.
So if I want to know actual information about her and pets, okay, so here is interview with Sally Ride.
Yes.
That seems like a good one.
That seems like a good one, right?
They interviewed her.
It's an interview. That's a primary
She's gonna
source.
talk about her family. She's gonna
It's
say
scholastic.
So let's click on that one.
Oh.
Sally Ride interview.
What the heck?
Here we go. Look at the first question. How did you feel when you lifted off into space? That was one of our questions.
Her hair.
Okay. Now, here's the deal.
Oh, dang.
This is a quote by Sally Ride. This is something that Sally Ride herself actually said. Am I going to
Yes.
put this in my own words?
No.
No, I am not. I am
No,
going to
Adriana.
copy and paste this, but
Only one sentence.
no, I am going to copy and paste a quote. Quotations you can copy and paste because it is that person's words. So let's read through this real quick. She says, I wasn't really scared. I was very excited and I was very anxious. When you're getting ready, stop. When you're getting ready to launch into space, you're sitting on a big explosion waiting to happen. So most astronauts getting ready to lift off are excited and very anxious and worried about that explosion, because if something goes wrong in the first seconds of the launch, there's not very much you can do. Okay. So how did it feel like to launch into space? We can copy that and paste, but here's what I'm going to do, guys.
Control C. And then control.
That's not what I'm talking about. What did she think it was like to be on her first mission? So, okay, here, I'm going to paste it. But what I have to do is put it in quotation marks. Put a quotation at the beginning and at the end.
Period, then
I'm also definitely going to be putting where this is from. This is interview with Sally Ride
Scholastic.
on scholastic.com. Okay.
So always go on Scholastic.
Interview with Sally Ride on scholastic.com. And I need to pick a color for this one.
Let's do red.
Red. Pink.
We'll do red. It's fine. Okay, so down here on my sources, I'm going to come down here and put interview with Sally Ride,
Scholastic.
scholastic.com. And let me change that to
Red.
red. Now, when I actually type my paper, am I going to leave different colored sentences in it?
Oh, yeah.
No. These are just notes.
This is just my notes to help me organize my research, okay? This is not my actual paper.
Aw.
Oh.
Because you don't.
Would you turn in a paper that looked like that?
You don't.
Yeah.
You should not.
After I read it, see, I would.
You're not just asking questions.
Technically, you're hurting your own feelings.
You're not hurting my feelings.
No,
No,
you're hurting your own.
I don't hurt my own feelings.
No, I
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Are you scared to go into space again?
Yes.
Did you know? When did you realize you wanted to become an astronaut?
That was my question.
All right. I didn't really decide that I wanted to be an astronaut for sure until the end of college. But even in elementary school and junior high, I was very interested in space and the space program.
Miss Bab.
Okay, I'm going to copy that down because I think that was one of our things in here. What age? Okay, so what age did she want to become an astronaut? I'm going to put that here and make this
But she didn't make it.
red. Okay. All right. Do you have male or female heroes growing up? What was your favorite subject in high school? What made you become a scientist? Do you have any nicknames? No. What hobbies do you have, and do you have any pets? That was a question you guys were interested in. I do a lot of running and hiking. I also collect stamps, space stamps, and Olympic stamps. And I do have a pet, a dog named Segan. Okay. I could just quote this, but since I've already quoted her twice on things that were more about like her feelings, I can rewrite these as fact. So on her hobbies, I'm going to go back over and put running, hiking, collecting stamps, dog named Segan. All right. Interests, running, hiking, collecting stamps.
No, you should do the dog thing on a different one.
I am. It's a different question on here. Does she have any pets? It was family. Kids, family, pets. I'm going to put dog named Segan.
What's that?
I doubt her dog was famous. Okay. Let me look here. Did you feel a special responsibility as the first American woman in space? That's a good question, but we didn't ask it. Did you feel like you were discriminated against? Do you think there could ever be an all-woman crew? How long did you have to prepare? How is today's shuttle different? Do you guys see that at this point, I'm just reading the questions. I'm not reading every single answer. I'm just reading the questions to see if any of their questions to her were the same questions we had. Because if they're not the same question we had, does that answer important to me?
No.
Now, if I truly wanted to know everything possible about Sally Ride, would I want to take the time to read all of these answers? Yes. And if I were truly doing research about Sally Ride,
You go straight to
I would read every single one of these. But since we are on a time limit today to finish all of the research, I'm skimming, which means I'm only reading like headings, kind of a thing, okay? When you're doing your research, you need to do like we did the first time and read the whole article and see what you see, okay? Is astronaut training different now? What role did you play on board the Challenger? So you guys did ask, what did she do on the Challenger? So let's read more about this.
I know they eat cakes.
On a standard space shuttle crew, 2 of the astronauts have a test pilot background, the commander and the pilot. All 3 of the astronauts are engineers or scientists, and those are the mission specialists. My background is in physics, so I was the mission specialist, who is sort of like the flight engineer on the airplane. Many airplane crews have 3 people, pilot, co-pilot, and the flight engineer. And the flight engineer sits just behind and between the pilot and the co-pilot. And that was my position during launch and re-entry. Then during the mission itself, I used the space shuttle's robot arm to release a satellite into orbit. I also operated several experiments and launched 2 communication satellites. And then it says, what kind of experiments did you do? On one flight, the experiments were mostly to study the Earth. So they had high resolution cameras, radar, and experiments to study the atmosphere. Did you get to do a spacewalk? I did not go outside.
No.
Okay. What did you do in space when you weren't doing experiments? It's very busy on the shuttle, but when I wasn't working, I was usually at the window looking down at Earth. Did you take animals with you? No. Scariest moment? No really scary moments. Everything went well. Life on the shuttle, clothes, space food. How do you use the bathroom? View from space. What does it feel like to be weightless? You guys asked about anti-gravity.
That was me.
Okay. So that would be a good one to put on there. Weightlessness is fun. It doesn't feel any different to your body or to your inside, so you feel the same. But the difference is you can float in the middle of the room. You can do somersaults in the middle of the room. And in fact, you can't stand on the floor. You float off the floor. There are long-term and short-term effects of weightlessness. And they all result from the body adapting very quickly and efficiently to weightlessness. It's easier on the body to be in space than it is to be on Earth. Your body figures out that it doesn't need to have extremely strong bones. You don't need to be super strong to lift stuff up because nothing weighs anything.
Then I could show my brothers off.
No, because you know what happens to your muscles if you don't use them? Lily, what happens to your muscles if you don't use them?
Well, last year we learned that, like, if you're in space for a really long time, once you get back on real earth, then
You
you
feel
feel
weak.
shorter
You can't walk.
because then your bones don't really grow anymore.
Yeah, your bone, like everything about you kind of like shrinks and shrivels up without the weight of your body. Like your muscles shrivel up. If you're not using them, think about it. People that lift weights and bodybuild, their muscles get bigger and bigger and bigger. So if you're not using your muscles, they get smaller and smaller. So even just basic things like picking up your water bottle, that has some weight to it.
Holding up your arm.
Even just holding your arms in the air for a long time. That doesn't, like, you would eventually get really tired because your muscles would get tired. And if I said do this in an hour from now, I bet none of you have your arms straight up anymore. We don't have time to do that. We've got to use our arms. But if we did that in an hour from now, these muscles would be burning. You wouldn't be holding your hands in the air anymore. But in space, that wouldn't have it. You could do that forever if you wanted to. But your muscles would just shrink and shrink and shrink because they're not getting used. Okay. Okay. So do you guys kind of understand? I want to flip back to not presenting right now. I've answered a good portion of the questions so far. So do you guys kind of understand where I'm going with how to do the research? I wanted to really go into depth and detail on how to really do the research. I don't know if anybody's taken the time to really show you how to go through an article and look for the information that you need and the information that you don't need. And I still have some guys that are trying to see if they can beat each other holding their arms up the longest. Anyway, so that's where we're going to stop with writing for today, so that we can move on to social studies. Like I said, I really wanted to go into detail on how to do the research part of it, because when we write our opinion papers, you're going to have to be able to read the articles and decide which sentences are important, which sentences are not important. You've got to understand when to put quotation marks, when not to. Okay. So we're going to continue with the paper tomorrow. The research that's not done already, I will try and have that finished so that tomorrow we can actually start writing. Put your hands down. They're not going to do it. Okay, here's the deal with your hands in the air. You still have to be listening to me with your ears, because some of you are still just not paying attention at this point, okay? So what I will say is tomorrow we're going to start turning all of these answers into a rough draft and organizing them so that the things that are similar, the questions that are similar, go together, okay? All right, so that's that. I'm going to stop recording for writing. I'm going to turn it right back on for social studies.